Good evening. Tonight I will be presenting my fourth video blog for Infm 645 at Mercer University for Professor Bhaskaran. This week we were tasked with reviewing a sample IRB application and focusing on three areas that it focuses on. The IRB is the Institutional Review Board's application process. They're the administrative body that is established to protect the rights and welfare of human research subjects recruited to participate in research activities conducted under the auspices of the institution with which it's affiliated. My reference for that is from Oregon State's website. The IRB evaluates all research topics and potential research projects that involve human participants. And let me stress, they evaluate all research projects that involve human subjects must go through the IRB board, and they will either approve, disapprove, choose to monitor, or require that modifications be made to the research. And they are delegated to, they have the authority to do this under federal regulations and the institution's policies. This is just to ensure that all of the research projects that are going on are ethical and do not infringe on the subject's rights as a human. For a sample IRB project, IRB application, I have one from San Diego State, University of San Diego. They have it filled in with some fictitious information, but it just goes through and it gives you a checklist of what you need to complete within the application. And then you have a signature page for both the researchers, their faculty advisors, and then on the bottom it has the application, the spot for the IRB representative and the dean to sign off on as well. Within the IRB application, you'll notice that it asks for some general information about the project, the title, who will be the researcher, if there's any co-principal investigators, the faculty advisor, et cetera, et cetera. And then each person that is conducting the research has to be trained. There's a training program called CITI, C-I-T-I, CITI training that all research participants must go through, and they want you to attach a copy of your training certificate there. Initially, they ask you for what level of IRB review is it. There are a couple of different levels: expedited, exempt, and full. Each one has different requirements. But for the purpose of this discussion, I am focusing on different areas of the application process. It asks for your description of your participants. It's a couple of pages here, and it asks what do you plan to collect? What's your measurement tools? Where will the data be collected? Ask you about your study participants, how you will recruit them, how you will get informed consent, et cetera, et cetera. So there we have the sample IRB project application. Hold on 1 second. So then after the sample IRB project application, we have, we were asked to focus on 3 different areas of the IRB application and discuss those areas. One is the risk and benefit section of the application. So even during the application process, it has you thinking about what could be potential risks and or benefits for the type of research that you're doing. If your research is, if your research is exempt or expedited for review, it tends to fall into the minimal risk category, and there will be no greater risk than you would encounter in your everyday life. However, for the full review, your risks are more than minimum, and the board must go into more detail as far as the risks are concerned. For benefits, they are divided into direct and indirect. Direct benefits would include any reimbursements or incentives, gift cards, anything to almost entice your participants to participate in the study. And then your indirect benefits would be any enhancements, would include any enhancements to their general knowledge. So just by participating in the research project, the knowledge gained by the participant is considered an indirect benefit. The second section that I was focusing on is the confidentiality section. Any research project, because you are using a person's information, should be confidential. It just ensures that the participant's identification is protected. Examples would be using coded participant identifications instead of using their name. You would use numbers or pseudonyms. Any data that is collected is free of any names or potential identifiers. Knowing who will have access to the data is also important. How long the data will be kept before it is destroyed, and if you are retaining any personal identification, when will they must be removed as soon as possible. Backwards. The third section that I focused on was the informed consent section. The informed consent section basically grants permission for the participant. It allows them to have all knowledge about the project, any possible consequences. Typically, is given. You also do like an informed consent from the patient to a physician for treatment after they understand the possible risk and benefits. So basically, consent is just asking the subject's permission to be in a study, no matter how you would ask. It could be written, verbal, or email. Informed consent is adding that extra layer that they understand and know the risk and possible benefits of participating in the research study. And finally, I have my references. Once again, my first slide about what is the IRB was from the Oregon State website, and my sample IRB came from the University of San Diego's website. Thank you and have a good evening.